help that. So, so we are practicing practice number 6, which is reflecting on our actions, consciously reflecting upon and evaluating our actions and the ways we use our power in order to learn and grow into mature and courageous leaders. So this is the St. Andrew Eco-Reformation team, and I'm going to invite some of you, somebody from your team, to share what it is that we're reflecting on right now.
So we had an adult forum with the congregation one Sunday morning between services, and a couple of us, Tommy and Gary, shared their 2-minute elevator speeches on what Eco-Reformation is, why it's important to them, and then we had a few more discussionary moments during the presentation about what it is overall. We're trying to get the congregation involved, and we presented at least 5 different avenues we would take on and see if they had an interest to go in one direction or the other, and then we broke into groups from there.
Okay. So
each small group had a convener for the conversation, and in 4 of the 5 situations of those groups, the person who was the convener, the assumption is that they would continue with that group in some way. One group didn't have an ongoing convener, but somebody to just convene the conversation for the day. And so we have not had an opportunity up until now to come back together and actually talk about what came out of those small groups and what the energy was from the larger forum that was percolating in the groups.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that part in a minute, but let's just hear a couple of things that went really well. Like, what was really powerful? What really worked with your with the forum, and then what can you learn from maybe what didn't go so well, or what you change or do differently next time?
I thought, how many people were there all together? 25?
Like that.
I thought it was helpful that people could pick and choose where they were interested in focusing. And then they went to that table. So some groups were larger than others. But that seemed empowering for the people who were there, that they were all lumped in one area.
I thought your story, Gary, and Tommy's story of just sharing why Eco-Reformation matters to each of you were very powerful. You both spoke from your heart. You each had very compelling stories and perspectives, and to have, one person from each of your generations. I mean, Tommy's a junior in high school, and then to have an older member of our congregation juxtaposed was, I think, why this matters to the whole age span of our congregation, and how young folks could see why this is really relevant to the world they live in, and folks who are considering more legacy-oriented questions could identify with your story, I'm sure, and probably everybody in between. So I thought that was a very powerful part of the
Yeah, what else? Anything that
You were out of town.
change?
I was not able to be there.
Oh, okay.
Any thoughts? No.
I was pleased at the number of people that attended, because having tried to have these forums personally for my own ministry purposes in the past, it's been really hard to sort of pitch it to people, to get people to come. So clearly talking it out to people and kind of getting the message out to them worked. And I'm not sure exactly what all of you did to talk it up to people, but that really seemed to work to me, because I was really pleased to have as large a group as we did at that forum. That was very encouraging for me.
Great.
I was pleased along that same avenue, the fact that we had both Pastor Robin and Pastor Mark there, and then it was really put out It was put out in the weekly announcements a few weeks in advance, and we also announced it during service. So that support and that importance, the fact that it's Earth Care is one of our 5 core values here at St. Andrew, I think was very helpful, because we paused. It was during a break of the adult education schedule, so we weren't competing with people, for people.
Yeah. Well, I'm noticing, I don't know how intentional all of that was, but I'm noticing some pieces that are actually pretty strategic when you're putting together something like this. So, for example, having some heartfelt story sharing, it makes a difference. It's powerful. Having it not just be kind of a sit and get kind of situation where people are just sitting in the same place listening the whole time, but you had people moving around, right? Strategically, that's a key piece, because people have to, it's a step of investment to actually move your body to a place, right? You were consciously or unconsciously strategic about when it got scheduled. So it wasn't interrupting something. It was, there was an intention about that. Thinking about, there was a level of power analysis there. So both the pastors on staff were in attendance, right? And that speaks to, the importance of the issue. So anyway, those are just some pieces to keep in mind. I'm seeing, again, whether they were intentional or not, that those are some key strategy kind of questions when you're trying to do something to make an impact. So nicely done.